Hi, I'm Sunny from Young Americans Against Socialism. Thank you for watching the Freedom Records. In part one of this interview, we sat down with Rosa Garcia, a survivor of communist Cuba. We're honored to have met her and to be able to share her life story. Throughout the conversation, you'll hear a voice off screen. That's Fabian, Rosa's grandson, who translated and interpreted for Rosa as she switched between speaking English and Spanish. Our team at YAS expresses our deepest gratitude to the Garcia family for making this experience possible. In a bittersweet turn of events, Rosa passed away just a few weeks after we filmed this interview. While we mourn her loss, we take comfort in knowing that she is now reunited with her loved ones and the Lord. We're honored to have been able to document her life story so that her legacy could be memorialized forever. And although the context of her story portrays the horrors of living under a communist regime, we hope that you will enjoy learning something new and that Rosa's love for American freedom reminds you of what makes this country so special. Go to yas.org to learn more about our organization. Let's dive in.
Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a very special guest joining us from communist Cuba. Her name is Rosa Garcia, and we are so happy to have her today. My name is Allie Rogers. I am the CEO of Young Americans Against Socialism, and this is...
I'm Sunny Kutcher, and I'm the COO of Young Americans Against Socialism, and we're very grateful to have you here with us today to share your story.
Rosa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Would you start with where you were born and a little bit about Cuba before communism arrived?
I born in 1937. I was 3. In Cuba, I little girl. I remember Cuba is okay for me. It's the place I live with my family, my mom, my dad, my 4 brothers, and everything is okay.
And Cuba's known for, its beautiful colors and the vibrant city and the culture and the food. And that's what Americans, know Cuba. But then obviously Fidel Castro rose to power and so much changed. So can you tell us, what did your family do for work in Cuba? And I think that you said your family had a shoe cobbler business.
My mom, my daddy is a driving taxi all his life. And my mom, good mother, he never go to school because he helped my grandma raise the 12 kids.
And my mom did laundry for families in their homes. She worked with an iron, not an electric iron, but a coal-heated iron. And my grandma was living with us.
And my grandma lived with us. For me, it's a really happy family. I feel happy.
What was your favorite part about life before things started to go wrong? What made you happy living in Cuba? I mean, the beaches are beautiful.
Everything is okay. The beach is beautiful, beautiful. The fruit is good, and people's good, different right?
People are nice.
Being different.
What was the response when Castro started to become more popular? And
Castro,
when he came back from the mountains, it was Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, Camilo Sanfuegos, and others. He said that this revolution was never going to be communist, that it was a revolution for the Cubans, that it would never be a color red revolution, but a green olive one.
Y la gente lo creyeron. People believe it.
Everybody put in the door, this is your home, Fidel.
This is your house, Fidel.
do you feel that they accepted Castro because they were so upset with the way that Batista was running the country?
People believe in him.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about politics. Yeah. My life, my family, that's all. My brother, my mom, my grandma.
Yeah.
Pero people believe in him.
Castro stated the strongest justification for rebellion was that his fellow countrymen were Cubans, and to be Cuban implies a duty to oppose injustice.
Okay. Well, the first time he do it,
The first thing he did was go to the banks and freeze the dollar. Then, he took away all the money from the people. Later, he took control of companies such as the electric company, the gas company, and the Westinghouse company. These were all American factories where working Cuban people earned their living. I personally didn't have any money in the bank. I was poor, but he did take all the money from those who had it. Later, he exchanged the US dollar for the Cuban peso. In 1940, the Cuban peso was valued 10 to 20 cents more than the US dollar.
he changed, he taking money for everybody.
He took everyone's money. Then he went to those who own homes and said, "This is not your home anymore. You can't sell it, you can't rent it, and you can't paint it."
And my,
Then he went to the farmers in the fields and said, "All these things which you produce in your fields are now for the government. This little piece is for you." He took everything from the people.
peace is for you. He take everything to the people. Take everything.
Including the guns.
Everything.
So what was that like when he confiscated all the guns? Do you remember anything about that?
The what?
The guns?
Cuando quitó las armas a toda la gente.
No me acuerdo de eso.
She doesn't remember that.
Yeah.
Pero sí me acuerdo que llegó, le quitó.
I do remember when they came and took from my dad the car he would use as a taxi to earn a living.
His life, he take it out.
Wow.
He take it. You don't have it no more.
My husband and his dad also had a shoe repair business for many years. I remember they had saved their money little by little in order to buy the machines needed to run their business. One day, the government came to my father-in-law and said, "You have to sell us your business." My father-in-law said, "I don't want to sell it, it's mine." The government official said, "You either sell it to the government or we will just take it
The
away."
government confiscated your family's business.
It's so sad.
So sad.
How long did it take for that to start to happen?
Fast. No take it too much.
Mm-hmm.
No take it too much.
About a year after he seized power, he also started to take farmland,
Everything.
right? Yeah. And the government put restrictions on how large the farms could be. And then eventually 70% of the farmland in Cuba, within just a few years of him being in power, was owned by the government.
Nothing is yours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing is yours.
nothing is yours.
And
In every corner, there was a committee for the defense of the revolution.
¿Sí entiende, Omar? Baby?
The Committee of the Defense of the Revolution.
You couldn't even take a package out from your house.
You can take nothing from your house.
You had to first go to this committee leader and show them what you were intending to take out of your house.
Okay? A lot of things.
There was no fruit. We were given a little book, which I wanted to bring with me to the US when we left Cuba. But they would not let me. That little book listed all the food we would receive per month, per family.
One chicken, one time a month. One chicken.
One chicken a month
Uh-huh.
for the whole family.
Only chicken.
And what else?
1.5 pounds of meat for everybody in your family. 3 ounces of coffee, no fruit.
The bread in Cuba is beautiful. It tasted so good. But they would give us a bread that no one knew where it came from, and you couldn't say anything. I knew a family with 3 girls. All the time they were in line. You had to be in line all the time to get your little 3 ounces of coffee and your monthly bread.
And bread, the guy said,
The husband said, "This doesn't look like Cuban bread." For that, he went to jail. The wife didn't know where he was for 3 or 4 years.
his wife, he don't know where he is for 3 or 4 years.
The guy went to jail for questioning the bread.
For saying, "This is not even bread from Cuba," in line.
So, in the line, because you are in the line. And he take
To
it.
wait for the bread.
And you had a ration card?
Oh, see, it's a little book.
Yeah.
He don't let me get out of Cuba. I had to live in Cuba. I want to bring it. Everything he changed for Russia. Avocado, everything go to Russia.
No, everything came from Russia.
No, go for, take it away from Cuba and send it to Russia.
So when that started to happen, now you have to go wait in a line for bread or for water. What is the response of your family, of your friends, your neighbors?
You can say nothing.
But did you say to each other, what's going on? Is this...
No, no sabíamos qué era.
Right about that time, Castro addressed the Cuban people and said, "This revolution is communist, and if you don't like it, get out."
If you don't like it, get out. He confessed, this revolution is communist.
I want to ask more about that resistance group that was on all the different corners.
In every corner,
Yeah.
every block is a comunista place.
And were those soldiers Cuban or were they Soviets?
Cuban.
Cuban. So they were a part of the Communist Party that were surveilling
You have
the
to.
streets. They
You
were-
don't have a choice.
and they were spying on you, and they were making sure that people were in compliance with the government.
He had one person in the block say everything happened in the you have to go there.
And that was kind of like Castro's secret police.
Yeah.
And did they just take people from the population and say you're going to be in the military now? How did that work?
What happened was, they wouldn't allow people from 12 to 18 years old to leave Cuba.
People that 12 or 18 years old for the
They wanted them for the military.
12, as young as 12 years old.
12 after 18 years old you can get out of Cuba.
From 12 to 18, you have to be in the military.
You know get out. One day Fidel Castro said, all the gusanos,
Castro said, all the parasites, you know parasites? All the parasites that don't like Cuba, get out and leave to the US. A month later, President Johnson declared all Cuban people have an open door to fly to the US.
Vuelos de la Libertad se llamaba. I
These flights were eventually called Flights of Liberty.
application. Take 3 years.
My husband and I applied right away. It took 3 years for them to let us out of Cuba. And when you first submit that application saying, I want to get out of Cuba, the police, detective, whatever they are, comes to your house and takes inventory of everything you have in the home. Even the forks, spoons, clothes, everything you have in the house, they make an itemized list of these items. And when the day comes for you to leave Cuba, they come back and count everything again. And if there is anything missing, you don't get to leave Cuba. The reason they do this is because nothing belongs to you. It all belongs to the government. You are not allowed to sell it or take it with you. Nothing is yours.
So what would you say to young people who support these, radical leftists and they want more censorship or they want more regulation, government control and regulation? What would you say to them?
Okay, in the school,
Yeah.
in Cuba school, she show you la historia de Cuba.
Before Castro came into power, Cuban schools would teach Cuban history.
All these things is in the school.
They would teach about all those who fought for Cuba.
No historia de Cuba. No more. Only communist story.
When Castro came into power, he removed all Cuban history from schools. Teachers were only allowed to teach stories relating to communism. For example, in the morning, kids in school would have to form a military line while dressed in their uniforms and sing the anthem song of Russia.
Okay? No más Salvadores Supremo.
This was the song. No more supreme saviors like Jesus Christ. No Caesar, no bourgeois, no God. We ourselves will make our own salvation.
Nuestra propia salvación. Eso cantaban los niños en la línea.
Wow. So they stopped teaching Cuban history
That's what kids would sing in formation at school.
and they wanted to teach the history of the Soviet
Russian.
Union and the Bolshevik Revolution and Joseph Stalin to the Cuban people,
Ya.
the Cuban children.
Mi hermano el mayor, él cantaba para el coro de la nación.
My eldest brother sang for the national choir. One day, many Russian diplomats came to visit Cuba and congregated in this big theater to hear this Cuban choir sing this same Russian song, which kids sang in school. When it came to the part about nor God, my brother didn't sing it. When the choir finished singing, my brother was called into a meeting with Fidel Castro and others. Fidel asked him, "Why didn't you sing that part?" He replied, "Because I believe in God."
Wow. And what was their response?
Fidel shook his hand and said, "Wow, you be good for the military. That's the kind of people I need."
Wow. Did he end up going into the military?
No,
Yeah.
no.
What happened? I mean, he said...
No, he let him go.
And what was your family's experience with the communist government? Were you guys ever targeted or under attack from the government?
My husband and his dad, little Valero, he buy a machine, make us shoes.
Yeah.
I told you already?
Yeah.
Okay. He take everything.
Take everything. So what did your family do for work then?
My husband was fixing shoes in secret. He had to walk really far away and would hide and make shoes with his uncle, with nothing to eat.
Hiding for making the shoes, nothing to eat.
And when I wanted to get out of Cuba with my family, they took my husband to the fields for over a year, and he would work in the fields. He didn't know anything about farming. They didn't let me see him. I didn't know where he was until finally, 1 month after they took him, they told me where he was. They said, he will be there until the day you leave Cuba.
Coming the day when he get out of Cuba.
So he was forced to work in the fields.
He would make $1.50 per hour working in Cuba, and you had to work Saturday and Sunday. If you don't work Saturday and Sunday, you go to jail.
Were there people that you knew that suddenly disappeared because they were arrested?
Sometimes the wives didn't know where their husbands were.
After he wanna know.
Mm-hmm. Did it happen to other people? Did they disappear
Were they
because the
set up-
government took them?
Some people,
When you say something and somebody hears, you go to jail.
you go in jail.
What can you tell us about that turning point where you started to realize, okay, if we start to speak out against Castro and the government, is my neighbor going to report me?
You can do it. Listen.
When I was filling out the paper to leave Cuba in front of my house, there was a family that was a part of the Committee for the Defense of the Revolution. I remember the man of that home said to someone we knew that when the time comes for the Garcia family to leave Cuba, the police were going to come again with their list. And that he would make sure that this family, the Garcia family, would never leave Cuba. But you know what happened? One day before I left Cuba, that man died. He had a heart attack. The day before we were going to leave, he had a heart attack and died. If he wouldn't have had that heart attack, I wouldn't have been able to leave.
I want to go back to when you said the people working in the fields and they were under forced labor and you could not take off Saturday and Sunday under the communist regime. Communists today in America will say that under communism or socialism, we can all do whatever we want.
You don't have to work.
No one's going to have to work.
It's not true.
And that we can all
It's not true.
Yeah, we can all communally take care of it together. What do you say to that?
It's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Because you saw what happened.
I believe it. I live it there. I know where he is.
Yeah. It's forced labor.
And did Castro say those kinds of things? What do you feel Castro said to really get the people to support him in that way? Everything's going to be great.
The first time he said, "This is not a red revolution, this is an olive green revolution." Then he eventually said, "This is a red communist revolution, and if you don't like it, get out of Cuba." He said, "Everything is okay." We all believed it. We even put in on our doors, "This house is yours, Fidel." I later took it off.
Was it his charisma? Was it his enthusiasm, his love for Cuba, love for the country? What do you think helped people see, oh, he has the spirit of Cuba?
No. You know what happened?
When Fidel came down from the mountains, he came with several men. Among them was a man named Camilo Zambrana. He was a real guy, a beautiful guy, handsome from the heart. And he said to Fidel, "I am here with you because you said this revolution wouldn't be communist. I don't want to be here anymore." You know what Fidel did? He put him in a Cessna airplane and he disappeared. He killed him.
He killed.
He got killed.
Because he said what?
Because he said, "I'm not okay with communism. You said it wasn't going to be communism. You said it was going to be liberty. I don't want to be with you anymore." And he had him killed.
Wow.
He killed her. Good guy. Good guy.
Wow. Do you have any memories or stories about Che Guevara?
Peor. Wait a minute.
Fidel started to say, all the kids who don't have an education are to be taken to the field to be educated. It was called the School of the Field.
My
aunt only had one daughter. The government took her to the School of the Fields when she was only 13, and she was abused. You know what happened? She was supposed to get married, and after the molestation, she killed herself out of shame.
She killed his son when he come back porque abusing him.
Wow.
Beautiful girl.
Wow.
A lot of people happen to you. Abuses the kid over there.
Yeah.
People who don't know nothing about that.
Wow. I don't think that Americans know even the slightest of what happened.
You can hear a lot of things, but it's not true. You have to live there.
Yeah.
And
When the day came for us to leave Cuba, we went to the airport. And while you were there, you can't say nothing. All night, we waited for the airplane, the American airplane. You could not say anything or show that you're happy. If you appeared to be happy, they would take away your ticket, and you couldn't get out of Cuba. Everyone waiting was silent. At 5 a.m. in the morning, we finally heard the engines of the airplane. People were so happy, but they weren't allowed to show it. You had to be emotionless.
No emotion.
When the plane was coming.
So we
So,
can
I mean,
start
more
from
stories
there.
like that would be interesting
Yeah.
to hear, you know, like personal stories.
You remember that Cuban man who lived on the same block as me, always complaining about the bread? His wife finally found out they had put him in prison and that they weren't going to let him out. When she would go visit him, she noticed that he was always cold. She eventually found out that they weren't physically abusing him, but they were torturing him with drugs. The government eventually let his wife and daughter out of Cuba, but he had to stay in Cuba.
Yes, he can
Oh
leave.
my gosh.
en the abortion, Fidel dijo no abortion. Y después dijo, everybody want abortion, it's open the hospital. You go.
Wow. So he made abortion completely
Like free.
free
Wow.
and legal.
But at first he said no abortions.
A lot of people go.
Yeah.
A lot of people go.
Wow.
Wow, just be.
What do you want? I don't know. I don't understand abortion, but what?
You mentioned education in Cuba and how they removed the history of Cuban culture and, you know, teaching that in the classrooms and started to teach Soviet government
Yeah.
history. What other similarities happened in Cuba that you see happening today in America in our education system?
I don't know. When I come from Cuba, I don't see the young people like that. It's different. Now it's worse.
Yeah.
Now it's worse.
I can't put all the fault on governments. It all starts in your home, with your kids.
And the how when you kids.
Treat your kids right. Give them love. Give them time.
Give it love. Give it time.
Don't give them all the material possessions, but give your life to your kids.
You life for the kids.
What do you think parents should be teaching their children in terms of the truth about socialism and communism?
You have to be careful. Ask your kid what you're thinking.
Teach them how to think. Yeah. And what do you say to young communists who support communism?
I don't support nothing de communism.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, ¿qué hay que decir a la gente que lo soportan aquí en América? Que dicen que el comunismo es bueno. Pero si lo quieres decir en español, dilo en español para que pueda.
In communism, there is nothing good. Nothing is good in communism. Everything is bad, bad. They just take everything you have. Everything.
Well, we know that Castro, you know, manipulated the truth and makes it seem everything is good, but it's awful, as you're saying. What do you think their ultimate agenda is? Destroy Cuba? What do you think is their motivation? They just hate freedom?
Lo que era, están locos. It's like crazy people.
Before our interview, you said if something was red, but the government, the communist government said it's green, you have to say it's green. Otherwise,
Agree?
yeah, you have to agree with them, right?
Me and my husband and every family had to attend a committee meeting every Friday. I would say, I am not going there. I never went to those meetings. Me and my husband never. I didn't care what they did to me.
What would they do at those
Nothing.
Fridays? No, nothing? Would they indoctrinate the people with communism?
Pero checking me all the time.
Oh,
share the family all the time.
Show the support
Yeah.
coming, like, is there like a meeting?
In Cuba, you would never see any news from the US. There was only one station on TV, and the government took it off. You could no longer see it.
TV, he take it out. You can see it.
Only Cuban media,
And nothing in Cuba.
no TV in Cuba?
TV, pero can you see? You see communism,
Wow.
nothing more.
What were conversations like between you and your husband about what was happening? What did he...
Don't say nothing, because if you said something to someone who you thought was your friend, they could easily report you to the committee leader and get you in trouble.
Were your children taught in schools to tattle on parents? Were the children taught that?
All they taught in schools was communism. My children were small. One was 11, the others 10, 9, 8. The youngest was only 1. When my first daughter was born, there was nothing in Cuba. You could find nothing on the store shelves. I remember walking all day looking for material just to make a diaper, because there were no diapers in Cuba. Nothing. While I was walking one day, my water broke and I was taken to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, I was told, "You are not ready yet to give birth. You have to go back home." I had to wait at home 1 week after my water broke. My stomach eventually began to appear as though I no longer had a baby in my womb. When they eventually allowed me to come to the hospital, my daughter was born with physical complications because they would not attend me for a week after my water broke. Everything is bad.
Everything is bad. Everything is bad.
So she was saying.
Oh, by the way, you get 1 pair of shoes per year. You also have to wait in line all night just to get that pair of shoes.
In the line, you have to stand in the line all night.
To get a new pair of shoes.
When you get to the front of the line, if there is no more shoes, you have to wait another year.
Wow.
I heard that there were, for the kids, they would gather all the children and give them toys from the Soviet government.
It's not true.
They would give toy soldiers or marbles.
I never saw any toys given to my children.
Really?
There was no Christmas anymore.
And what about, maybe toys or things that, shoes, like you're saying you only get 1 pair of shoes. The things that you had before, if Cuba became communist, they just took everything away.
Everything.
They just came into everybody's houses and took everything away.
You don't have nothing.
They took everything. No Christmas, nothing.
Está like I say when he come back from the
Mountains.
from the mountain. Está little by little.
They just come into your house and take everything.
No, he come to my house.
He did not come to my house. He came to the people who owned their house.
Take everything. No.
When you try to come to the United States from Cuba, you have to leave everything. The worst part for me, the most sad, is when you don't have nothing.
When you don't have nothing.
My little kids only had 1 uniform. Imagine. No underwear for your babies. Sometimes you had only 1 pair of underwear. And when you took a shower, you had to wash it and hang it up to dry for the morning.
Nothing.
Wow.
What clothes? What clothes take?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Abuela, dile en español cuántos Pampers tenían por todos tus niños y cómo lo lavabas y todo. Pero
Oh, Pamper, no.
There was no Pampers, only cloth diapers. You had to wash them.
Oh, so
You
no
have to wash
no diapers. You had to wash them.
No.
she had one of those diaper things for all,
Right.
7 kids?
Also, all your kids had to take care sharing 1 milk bottle. There was only 1 for all the children.
I just
Only
don't
one
think-
for
All
3.
these kids.
I just don't think that Americans even
No
really
concept.
fully understand that concept because we have so many options and we never have a shortage, and if there is a shortage, there's a major issue. But under communism, it seems, it's very evident that this happens again and again and again. Every time that it's been tried, their failures come to light, and the people really suffer and lack basic necessities like what you're saying: food, diapers,
Everything.
formula, clothes, and young people who support this radical ideology have no idea. They think it will be essentially
Better.
rainbows and butterflies And here you are, you know.
And after your kid turns 1 year old, they only get half of a gallon of milk. Not the big gallon. Like here, 1/2 gallon, but by Cuban measurements. Half of a gallon every 2 days.
Wow, every 2 days.
Do you feel like they pitted people against each other?
Sí podían pasar, sí. Mucha gente tenía, a lot of people are scared to talk.
Okay.
No hay confianza.
Yeah.
No trust people there. Porque you don't know who is really.
Yeah. But you would just talk within your family.
My family and the next door, my friend next door. That's all.
That's it.
Yeah. Before our interview, you had said that about communists, you said the worst thing is they do not believe in God. How did you see this take place in Cuba, and you know what is your experience with them targeting religious freedom?
Let me tell you something.
I don't talk bad about religion. I went to Catholic school, even though today I'm not Catholic. I believe in God. What Castro did when he came down from the mountain, he went to the place where I went to school. And he closed all the schools, all the Catholic schools. And the principal, beautiful lady, he sent her away. Another one, he sent somewhere else.
They closed all the school. All the Catholic school, all the Catholic schools closed.
Wow.
Nothing.
So he closed all the private schools. And then
Private.
Yeah, and then did he close the public schools too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I say, I believe in God. It's the only person never fail. If the world says he don't wanna believe in God, he don't wanna people not know God.
Well, I like the song that you said that they sang in school. You know, clearly they wanted children to believe that they were even, you know, higher than God himself. And it seems like that is a main goal of communists, is that they want to insert themselves as God, as the supreme leader.
And the best thing that happened to me was when I heard that airplane. I said to my husband, you will ride in the front, I will ride in the back, and our kids will be in the middle. Because if something happens, they will not let us out of Cuba. And we need to protect our kids.
If something in the wrong, in the one name or something, you don't get out of Cuba.
If they see you happy, they will say, come here.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. So they didn't like to see you excited or happy
He can.
in your future to be in America.
No.
Were you allowed to be happy about anything else in life? Like on the island in Cuba before you knew that you're gonna go?
I am happy to have my family together, leaving the rest of my family. This was the worst thing.
That's so fascinating, because I feel like today you can see the left, they run on this fake happiness, but really they are so much after such desolation, destruction, despair, and their policies create just havoc on society. And it's so evident when you hear stories like them not wanting you to be excited about a future.
You can believe everything he said about communism. And nothing good in communism. Nothing good. Nothing. Destroy. Destroy everything. Destroy family, destroy everything.